Alright, it's time for the first oil change on the bike. In the past week or so, got 598 miles on the new FZ. So I'm going to do that chain adjustment today, but first for this oil change, you don't need a stand for this procedure. I like to put it up there just to keep the bike level. It's just OCD preference. Got the bike up just on the rear stand. Some of the things you may need. Channel locks, hopefully not. I use that just for the old filter. I know some may cringe at that. Torque wrench for putting the new wrench on. I have a K&N 204-1. I think there's a C on it on the part number online. I know some people say they've had failures with K&N oil filters and things like that. I've never had a problem, knock on wood, but that's the filters I like to run. I have a OEM crush washer, 3/8 inch ratchet with a 17mm socket. That'll be good for getting the oil drain plug and the oil drain plug off and on, and then also putting the new K&N filter on if that's what you're running. Got the little booklet here that came with the bike. Got some gloves, and let's get to it. Alright, so just as with all of the other 3 million how to change oil videos on YouTube, I want to make sure just your bike is warm. I just rode home 35 minutes, so the bike's nice and hot. Let's see if we can't get this open. Oh, okay. So here's your oil drain, sorry, not oil drain, oil filler cap. Put that down in a clean place. Then you can move on down here. This is your oil drain bolt here. Voila. Off camera, I just broke it loose real quick. That little 3/8 ratchet that I had was not doing it. I actually had to break out the breaker bar, and I'm sure it was well past torque, but man, that thing was on there tight. So it might take a little bit of wrenching. It's from the factory like that. But after you break it loose, just go ahead and untwist that. Holding, I always make a mess of things, but if you hold some little forward pressure, holding it back, kind of pushing it back that way as you're threading it back out, it might make this next step a little bit easier. Careful, it also is pretty warm. So, you got a couple of drips there, and since this is the first change, looking for just the consistency and any particles and things that come out of the oil, just for my own knowledge. Probably not a whole lot to do about it just yet, but so still holding a little backward pressure on it. Once I feel it kind of bouncing off the bottom threads there, just like that, got a real quick pulled away. And all right, we got the pan in the right place. It didn't shoot out all over the garage floor. So, looks pretty good. I mean, it's only 600 mile oil, but being the first one, kind of looking, it doesn't look like there's any big chunks of anything coming out. Which I would hope not. It's a brand new bike, but I'm sure it's happened. So, gonna do that and get to this next step on removing the filter. Alright, so off camera, tried to use just brute strength and try to use my hands and untighten or break that filter loose, but apparently I have curly hands or just not strong enough or whatever. So I do have a pair of channel locks that we might try, but it looks like I think this oil filter cap wrench is off of an old Tundra that I had, so we'll see if we can't turn it. And oh, thank goodness. There's all kinds of tricks for getting stuck filters off and things, but thankfully that one just worked. So, come on. So again, just like with the, let's see if we can't focus this a little bit better. Just like with the oil drain plug, as you're unscrewing it, these filters usually have quite a few threads, or finely threaded. And if you just hold a little bit of forward pressure, or rearward pressure, I should say, and let it drain a little bit, And you still have more in the filter as well. So we'll just stack that there for right meow. Alright, so that as that oil is finishing kind of draining out, give it, just be patient with it. Give it 5-10 minutes and try to get as much of that old oil out as you can. In the meantime, while that's doing that, I like to go ahead and take my oil drain bolt. I like to just dry it off, clean it up, make things nice and shiny before you put it back together. I've already taken off the old crush washer, but as you'll see, there's two different sides. There's one that kind of has a profile to it, some little ridges and whatnot, and the other side is smooth. We're taking off the old one. The smooth side goes against the not the crankcase, the oil pan. So I'll go ahead and place that with the side that has the profile. I'll place that facing, oh wait, hang on, scratch that. So the side that gets crushed, the side that has the profile going down against the face of the bolt, so that the smooth side is going up against the oil pan here. So I'll just go ahead, let's try pointing it up just a little bit. I have a knack for cross-threading things, so I'll spin it counterclockwise until I feel it seat. And then I'll go ahead and start to thread it in. Before I go much further, I'm pretty OCD about making sure things are clean as you're going back in. So I'll start to clean this up just around here, so I have good clean surfaces between everything. And I dunked my tail in the oil. So I'll just go ahead and finish threading that in. I'm going to come back in just a minute and torque that down. Alright, so in preparation for the new filter, again, I just like to take my shop towel, clean up the mating surface there between the filter and the engine. Apparently I'm not very coordinated. Just like to clean it up, make sure everything's nice and clean. Get clean mating surfaces for everything. Looks pretty good there, I'm happy with that. Got my new filter here. I put a little bit of the new engine oil on the gasket. Probably, and some people just take a dip out of the old oil there, but I've got the new oil here, so a little bit of oil on the gasket there. And again, just as to avoid cross-threading things, I turn it counterclockwise a little bit until I feel it seat, and then I'll go ahead and spin it the rest of the way on. Voila. Now it's time for our handy dandy torque wrench. It looks like we've got on the oil filter going 13 pound-feet, and for the engine oil drain bolt it's 32 pound-feet. So doesn't matter which one you do, just make sure you get the right values on the right component. So 13 pound-feet for the cartridge, the oil filter, and 32 pound-feet for the oil drain bolt. Alright, so you're almost there. Lastly, we've torqued down the engine oil drain bolt, torqued down the engine oil filter. Now it's time to fill it up. Gives you two different quantities here. They give you a quantity of oil if you don't change the oil. My personal thing is I always just change the filter when I'm doing the oil. It's an extra for the K&N filter, even though, for the fancy one or whatever, it's $9, $8, something like that. So we'll be using the other value here, which is 2.6 liters with oil filter removal. There's another chart is it next page? Somewhere's in here. It'll tell you there's the different types, weights of oils that you can use based off of the temperatures that you're normally riding in. Me and my use, I'll be using the 10W40. Probably waste money on this green stuff, but it makes me feel better about myself and stuff like that. So on here, since we're doing 2.6 2.6 liters. I'll probably start with let's try to back up a little bit. Probably start with 2.5 liters, start it up, see where we're at, get the bike back on the ground and sit up, and start with that. I cannot hold up the funnel and pour this at the same time, so I'll have to be here back in just a moment. All right, so we got our 2.5 liters in. And just like with everything else, the name of the game during these procedures, anytime you work on your bike, is cleanliness. So again, just a little shop towel, making sure our surfaces are clean, not introducing too much extra bad stuff in there. We've got an intact O-ring still here on our filler cap. I've never had to replace one on the bikes that I've had, but hey, this might be the time. So let's kind of lightly seat that for now. Got our oil window, which up here is full right now. We're going to go ahead and start up this bike. As we're starting it up, let it run for a few minutes, get it warm again on the engine. That window will probably drop just a little bit as the oil starts circulating through the engine, and just looking for any leaks and things around the oil drain bolt and the filter there. So be right back. Alright, so the bike's been off for about 4 or 5 minutes now, and even going 1/10 of a liter less than what it recommends. We're sitting just about at that top of the we're just about the upper limit of the oil line here in the oil window. So I'm going to leave it like that for now, and keep that in mind for next time. Maybe put even just a touch less, but I'm happy with that. There was no leaks, no nothing else. So that's pretty much your first oil change right there. If you got an AutoZone or something near you, they'll usually do the free oil recycling. So every time I go to get oil for my truck or whatever, I'll take that down as I pick up new oil, recycle the old stuff. So that's an oil change on your MT-07. I'm sure it's exactly the same, if not incredibly similar to an FZ-07. But on the MT-07, that's your oil change. If you've never worked on a bike before, this is as easy as it gets. If you have worked on another bike before, then maybe you consider getting one of these, just because the maintenance is so easy. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and yeah, that's it.